Hi everyone, happy Tuesday. Tuesday that feels like Monday. It is a beautiful day outside, so I am sitting on my back deck. There are a lot of birds chirping right now, so hopefully you guys can't hear them and you can hear me instead. We're going to read another chapter of Lincoln's Grave Robbers. Alright, so we left off at chapter 2, which is titled The Pull. Early the next morning, Terrell tucked his revolver into its holster and left his hotel room. With him were two other armed men in suits, Secret Service agents James Brooks and John McDonald. They walked to the waterfront, got on a ferry, and headed across the Mississippi River. A few minutes before 9 o'clock, Terrell and the other operatives approached Boyd's house on foot. Kinsey leaned out an upstairs window and gave the go-ahead signal. Terrell opened the fence gate in front of the house and walked around towards the back door. Brooks followed close behind, while McDonald hung back to cover the front door. Suddenly, a man raced up in a wagon and screamed, loud enough to be heard inside the house. "Does B.F. Wilson live here?" Then the driver took off without waiting for an answer. Instantly, Terrell knew. They'd been spotted by Boyd's friends, and that shouted question was a warning to Boyd. Yelling for the others to stay outside and watch the exits, Terrell sprinted to the back door. Just as he was reaching for the doorknob, a man stumbled out, almost crashing into Terrell on his way down the steps. It was Kinsey, on his way out. Terrell charged through the empty kitchen and into the dining room, running full speed into Allie Boyd. Allie grabbed Terrell's coat collar, trying to keep him in the room. "Brooks," shouted Terrell, yanking the woman's strong hands off his collar. James Brooks bolted in, and Terrell shoved Allie into his arms. Then Terrell spun and ran to the stairs, and was just starting up when he stopped short. Standing at the top of the steps with a startled look on his face was Benjamin Boyd. Terrell pulled out his pistol and said, "Boyd, you are my prisoner." "Who are you?" growled Boyd. "United States Detective Terrell." "I have heard of you, Terrell," Boyd said, glaring down at the agent. Terrell walked up to the steps, holstering his revolver. He slapped handcuffs on Boyd's wrists, then shouted out the window for McDonald, still in the yard, to come inside. While McDonald and Brooks guarded the prisoners, Terrell began the search for incriminating evidence. It was everywhere. The spare bedroom upstairs was clearly being used as a workroom. There was a large table with engraving tools scattered around, as if the worker had just been interrupted. More tools were piled in crates on the floor. Terrell lifted a black metal plate from the work table. Cut into the metal was the partially finished design of the front of a U.S. $20 bill. On the desk, right beside where the plate had been, was a real $20 bill. Terrell hurried into town to telegraph the good news to Chief Washburn. When he returned to the house to search the downstairs, McDonald reported an interesting development. While Terrell was gone, Allie Boyd had offered McDonald $1,000 in cash to let her take something out of the house. Terrell turned to Allie. What was it she didn't want him to find? She hesitated, sighed, and pointed to a box in the corner. Terrell searched it and found nothing interesting. Then he noticed the box had a fat wooden handle. He cracked it open. Inside, in a tightly rolled bundle, was $7,824 in real U.S. currency. The search went on for 6 more hours. "I found a small box," Terrell reported. "On breaking it up, I found a front and back for a $100 treasury note. Wrapped in a coat under the Boyd's bed, he found partly finished and blank metal plates. In a crate under a pile of rags was a plate expertly engraved with the back of a $20 bill. The reverse side of the plate found on Ben's desk." That afternoon, Terrell and the other agents packed up the evidence and headed to the train station with their prisoners. They all sat together on the train back to Chicago. Ben Boyd kept glancing at the crate of counterfeit plates by Terrell's feet. There was enough evidence in there to put him away for a long stretch. He turned to the operative. "Terrell," Boyd began, "you are not long in the Secret Service, are you?" "No, not long," Terrell answered. "Why? Anything the matter?" "Oh, I thought if you were an old member of the service, you would take the property now in your possession and let me skip out the back door." Terrell shook his head. "But that is not my way of doing business." Boyd figured as much. Like other counterfeiters, he'd bribed his way out of jams before. But these new Secret Service agents were annoyingly honest. As if to prove the point, Terrell asked Boyd what he wanted done with the money that had been hidden in the hollow box handle. Boyd asked that it be put in the bank for use by his defense lawyer. To Boyd's amazement, Terrell deposited every penny. Boyd was convinced he wasn't going to be able to buy his freedom. And we have an example of United States paper currency from 1880. So this is what money used to look like in the year 1880. Looks a lot different. Plan B was to escape. While awaiting trial in Cook County Jail, Boyd and another counterfeiter in the cell tried to make a key to the cell lock. A guard found the half-cut key and confiscated it. It was beginning to look like Ben Boyd was going to spend a very long time behind bars. And here's another picture, an example of counterfeit currency, so some fake money. So Ben's trying really hard to get himself out of this pickle. But it seems like every time he tries, he gets turned down. Do you think he's going to make an escape? Leave your comments on Google Classroom. And, there's a bug. And I will see you guys later. Bye, guys.